In October 2022, I was lucky enough to visit my friend Tony in St. Croix, which is in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And this is what it looks like here in October. It's kind of a dry island, but there's lots of honeybees, lots of flowers during this month, and the butterflies were amazing. There was a strong nectar flow on, and beekeepers had their bait boxes out and ready to catch swarms. St. Croix is a very friendly island, but the bees here are not so friendly. They're all Africanized to some degree or another, which means that they swarm a lot and they're very feisty. This colony was right next to a sidewalk, next to a busy road. And this is very common. Tony and her friend Danny got called to do a removal in this house. They were in the bathroom, wall, and ceiling area.
It's in the bathroom.
Right. And it's probably right behind the wall because they don't like going too far.
Yeah. So he told me, go ahead, you can touch it.
Right.
So I'm thinking...
So, I know you. I'm thinking just drill a hole first.
Well, I mean, we don't want to waste time, right? Oh yeah, you saw my bee box and we built it. We put the frame that goes inside and it hooks up to the hoses that we got.
The concept of a bee vac is to have a cage inside of a container, and the vacuum pulls the bees into the cage instead of pulling the bees into the vacuum.
Before I used to put screws to hold it, but I realized it's just easier to put a piece of tape and then we're good to go.
Using his homemade bee vac and expertise, Danny was the leader in this cutout. If you'd like to buy a ready-made bee vacuum, Betterbee sells an excellent one, the Colorado Bee Vac. Learn more about it in the description below. By feeling with the hand for warmth on the ceiling and wall inside, we found the colony between two rafters. Everyone suited up with triple-layer ventilated full bee suits, and Danny cut the beginnings of the access hole. I was outside on a little patio about 12 feet away from the open bathroom window, and the bees were hassling me. This is not what I'm used to in New York State.
They're really all over you. These are not nice bees.
Just like the range of attitudes folks without Africanized bees find, Africanized bees sometimes can be just fine, and sometimes they're pretty hot.
Let's see.
Focus again.
See him there? There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's a big boy.
How tall is it?
It's about 2 feet. 2 feet by about 2 feet by a tree like this.
It goes over there?
It goes up into right there.
You can see the colony here, but we're going to need more space to get the vacuum, an arm, and a head up into the ceiling to be sure that all of the bees and comb are removed. Danny is gently vacuuming bees off of the comb to get ready to cut the comb and pass it out to us. And this is Rich, the homeowner, prepping some frames. The brood comb is rubber banded into frames in the same position it was hanging in the colony. And these are some of the bees that were vacuumed into the first screen cage. It's important not to vacuum too many into the screen cage, and that's why Danny has a second one to replace it. We worked for about 3 hours and ended up getting 6 frames full of brood, 2 frames with some honey and pollen, and about 5 gallons of broken honeycomb that wasn't stiff enough to band into frames. So this is definitely not normal beekeeping, looking into hives and inspecting them. Cutting out bees from a wall is different to begin with, but it was especially different because they were Africanized bees. Danny took these bees to a bee yard and poured the bees from the 2 screen boxes into the box that has the brood. And we visited the next morning, and they were still riled up. As I walked towards them in a bee suit and stopped about 15 or 16 feet away, they began to bother me. I took a few quick seconds of video and walked away down the road, about 300 feet. And my friend Tony filmed me a bit, and you can see they are still bothering me, but only a couple. Thank you to Tony and Danny for inviting me along on this cutout and showing me that beekeeping in St. Croix is different than in upstate New York.